Brilliance Audio.
The London Girls by Soraya M. Lane, performed by Sarah Zimmerman. London, 29th of December, 1940. Smoke curled through the air, threatening to choke Ava as she slowly opened her eyes. She reached out a hand, fumbling in the dark, clawing at the ground as she tried to drag her body from the hard road beneath her. "Where am I?" She blinked. The black skyline in the far distance, punctuated by large, rising clouds of white smoke, that she knew could only mean one thing. Bombs are falling on London. The ringing in her ears was so loud she could barely think. A high-pitched scream that made it almost impossible for her to piece together what had happened. Ava finally hauled herself up, frantic now as she realized she'd come off her motorcycle on the road and could be hit by a vehicle at any moment. The blackout meant that the roads were the most dangerous place to be as night fell, with most vehicles forced to drive without lights. She couldn't remember what had happened, how she'd ended up on the ground, her body flung so far from her bike. Had she hit something? Had a bomb been dropped near her? I was riding straight, and then her mind felt like a sieve, unable to piece together the moments that had left her on the ground. She searched for her torch, barely able to see as she shuffled across the road. Eventually her foot connected with something hard, and she bent to collect it. Grateful to discover it was what she'd been looking for. She turned it on, banging it against her leg when it didn't immediately work, and then suddenly there was a pool of light around her, illuminating the crash. There was a tree. It all came rushing back to her then. The explosion that had sent her careering sideways, the fallen tree trunk she'd seen too late, swerving across the road, her front wheel clipping the trunk and sending both her and the motorcycle flying up into the air. Ava's breath caught in her throat, rasping as she hurried to inspect her bike. She wiped at her face, eyes stinging as she hauled her motorcycle up, her light position between her teeth now, and desperately tried to start it. But it was a waste of time. The front wheel was pushed back into the frame, and even if she could have started the engine, she never could have ridden it. It was a mangled mess. She hauled the motorcycle off the road, arms screaming in pain as she used all her strength to move it, hoping it would look salvageable come morning. And she checked the satchel across her body, sliding her hand inside to make sure the document was still there. Her head was spinning, and she lifted her hand to it, wondering if perhaps she'd hit it. When her hand came away sticky with blood, she realized there was a good reason for how woozy she felt. Her head had started to pound, and she was finding it difficult to balance, let alone walk, her ears still ringing and making it almost impossible to think. She stood in the dark, her light turned off now for fear of being seen from the sky, as more booms echoed out, more than she'd ever heard before, and she tried to ground herself, tried to keep her feet steady, as she focused on breathing in and out. You deliver those documents, even if it kills you. Ava had never forgotten the words relayed to them during their training, and as she set off down the road on foot, her canvas satchel firmly across her body, bombs falling behind her and wreaking havoc on the city she loved, she wondered if it was to be her last dispatch. Every time she was sent out with a memo, she knew she was carrying an order or piece of information considered crucial to the war that was highly time-sensitive. They all knew they were risking their lives every single time they set out. She'd just been lucky up until now. She forced her legs into a run, like a newborn foal trying to gain its balance as she stumbled along, determined to do her job even if it took her all night. How much time had passed? She racked her brain, trying to remember where she'd been, how long she'd been riding for before the crash.